I thought I had glasses on. I don't have glasses on. Hello. Good morning, good evening, whenever you see this. Hello. At the time of recording, it's Friday, February 20th. And by the time you see this, it'll likely be like May, most likely. So you are a time traveler. How does it feel? Hello. I swear I washed my face before I came outside. I don't know what the fuck just happened to my eyes. But, I feel inspired to talk about, like, people being freaked out. And I don't know what I'm going to title this. I don't know what I'm going to title this, but I imagine if you're watching this, it's because you thought that I was interested. I don't know. Don't get me wrong, because I definitely had a phase in my life, and I don't necessarily like feel ashamed for having this phase, but I had a phase in my life where I was very freaked out. Like, I spent a lot of time and energy, like, looking for hookups and like looking for people to, like, you know what I mean, have that exchange with. And at some point, I just like, because don't get me wrong, also, I've always been like a creator. I've always been somebody to like create things and to like have goals and to have ambitions. But at some point, I changed my priorities and I realized like this was taking away from what else I wanted to do. And I think also maybe there could have been a health scare. If I'm being totally honest, there could have been like a health scare that happened where it was like, okay, we're doing too much. We need to like scale back a little bit. That could have also been a thing for sure. And I think it's a huge thing, especially in the LGBT community, for people to be like way too freaked out. And most of the time, it's probably trauma. It's probably some form of trauma. And I was talking with my boyfriend about it recently, and he doesn't seem to agree. He doesn't want to accept that, but it doesn't make like, okay, because when everybody talks about trauma, everybody likes to think that like it has to be some evil thing, it has to be some corrupt thing. But like trauma is just anything that is like strong enough to like affect your trajectory. You know what I mean? But yeah, it doesn't have to be like solely some like evil thing. It really is just something that changes your perspective. And ideally, if you were to be responsible with that energy, you would transmute it, you would turn it into something more positive, you know, regardless of what the actual thing was, you know. And without saying too much, for him, he had some positive experiences when he was younger, and the way that I see it, it definitely influenced the rest of his like upbringing, because if those situations didn't happen, he wouldn't have been as exposed to certain things, and he wouldn't have been aware, you know what I mean? And we'll never know because that's how it went down, but you know what I mean? And I was encouraging him to think about that from a different perspective, you know, because trauma isn't inherently, once again, it's not inherently a bad thing, and it doesn't become a bad thing presently unless you like refuse to acknowledge it. You know what I mean? Once you acknowledge it, once you like process it and all that, then it can be something positive. It can be something beneficial, you know? And I don't know. I think a lot of us are way too freaked out. And what I think is so funny sometimes, the things that inspire these videos, because it was literally less than a moment physically. Like I could project my own thoughts and my own perspective of what happened, but like objectively, physically, it was like the tiniest micro moment. And basically there was this dude that I had crossed paths with, and he looked kind of cute, I guess. And it was this thing of where he was looking at me and I was looking at him, and I don't want to assume what I'm assuming, but I would have to assume that he was to some degree thinking naughty thoughts, because I was thinking naughty thoughts, and I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think it has to be true, but like, because of my choice of celibacy, a lot of the times when I notice sexual like desire coming up in me, I like recognize it as like, this isn't fully me, because I don't care about sex. You know what I mean? But it could have just been me. I could have just been projecting. But I swear he was also like thinking something, but I could tell that he was not really super duper comfortable with the fact that he was looking, you know? And that's often a thing, I feel like, with sexual shame. Like it, because sex is such a natural thing, it's such a biological thing, so we all crave it to some degree. But when you shame yourself about it, it causes such issues. And it's why so many men are so violent and so like towards like LGBT, because it's like, I'm attracted to you, but I feel like I can't be, and that's a problem. And you know what I mean? And I also used to be the type of person to actually go out of my way to find DL men, and I stopped doing this for different reasons. One of the reasons is that these type of people like tend to be really violent, tend to be really unpredictable when it comes to their emotions, because there are a lot of emotions that these people are hiding, because if they weren't hiding, they wouldn't be DL, they wouldn't be down low, they wouldn't be secretive, you know what I mean? So there's always that factor that I like, eh. And also, don't get me wrong, sex can be very sacred, sex can be very beautiful and like necessary, obviously, but once again, I think a lot of us are way too freaked out. I think a lot of us use it as one of our not super duper great coping mechanisms, you know? I was listening to this thing and somebody was saying, you know, a lot of you are freaked out because you don't smoke, because you don't drink, you know what I mean? Because like we all like to judge each other's vices and stuff, but it's like we all have them. We all have some sort of escape, some sort of release, and whether it's healthy or not is a different conversation. But like, you know, and I feel like if more of us really stopped and thought critically about what we were doing, we would be more inclined to not do certain things, you know? Because part of it, if you're using it as like some sort of escapism, is escapism. Part of it is removing yourself from like those heavy feelings, those heavy thoughts. You know what I mean? That's part of it. And when you stop doing that, you allow yourself to feel more of what is being repressed, you know? Once again, we all have trauma. I think there are probably a few people in the world who are blessed to have a really smooth experience. But the world, like when you look at the state of the world, it's just a natural process of existence that at some point you will be traumatized. Even if it's not like the most crazy thing, but at some point there will be some sort of trauma. And at some point you will have to unpack that. And depending on how severe the trauma is, you'll have to spend more time, spend more energy unpacking and processing, especially if you've gone however long without processing it, without acknowledging it, you know, like, and that's the thing, like, healing, I think, is so necessary. It's so important, but it's also very painful. And while I do think everybody should at least try, I can also sympathize and I can also understand why somebody wouldn't. Because once again, it's fucking painful. There's a lot of things that are not very pleasant about the healing experience, like crying seemingly randomly over nothing. There's so many things, because I was gonna make a list, but there's so many things that happen during someone's healing process that are not enjoyable, that are not pleasant. And especially when we live in a world where most people seek pleasure, most people seek comfort, why would I want to do that? You know what I mean? Why would I want to put myself through something that I know is going to be painful? The fuck? But then the obvious answer, if you like actually wanted a serious answer, is so that you can be a better human and you can be a better lover, a better friend, a better whatever. It's so that you can be a better, more whole individual. That's the answer. That's why we put ourselves through this, you know what I mean? So that we can be better. Also, today is Friday, so it is payday. I mean, every day is payday for me, honestly, but it's official. It's like an employment payday, and actually got everything that I was supposed to get, because like they said that they were going to take some out of my check, and so that was a factor. They were saying that they were going to like subtract some, and so I was waiting for that, but then they sent me everything that I was supposed to have, and I was like, awesome. And so that's the thing, and I plan on putting some of it away towards the car thing, but I don't know, I'm feeling wavy this week. Oh my god, I really need to get better at money management, because I think one thing that really sucks is like knowing that there's money somewhere but then not having access to it, or like being in debt or some shit. Like I hate that feeling so much. Like knowing that I have money coming but I don't have it now. Oh my god, like that's so annoying. So sometimes I feel so awkward when I'm recording in public, this light's about to turn green. Sometimes I feel so awkward. I've talked about this before. This isn't the first time I've said this, but like I've been recording for like however long, but sometimes I still really do feel so fucking awkward. Like, you know. Also, money management, energy management, I guess. I don't know. I did manage to save some marijuana from yesterday, so I still have some from yesterday. I don't necessarily need to buy any yet, and I couldn't either because the store that I go to is closed. Also, I think it's so, excuse me for the burp, I think it's so interesting / funny that I haven't been to the other store, the store that I prefer, in however many weeks, simply because of this guy. And like, I wish that I would have had the wherewithal to like remove myself before that happened, but there didn't seem to be any point, you know what I mean? Like, but after we had the altercation, I talked about it in a few videos ago, if you don't know what I'm talking about. There was basically a situation that happened. There was this guy, and when I look back on it, it's obvious that he just had it out for me. Like, I could have tried to be like more composed. I could have been more or less of myself, I guess. But he had it out for me. Like, from the moment I saw him, I could tell that he had an issue with my presence, and that's okay. That's his prerogative. But he also became a staple member of that area, and so like I had to see him a lot. And most of the time it was cool, but I don't know. I think he expected something out of me that he wasn't gonna get, or I don't know what exactly the issue was, but because once I've been nothing but nice to him. And I remember one time before he was even actually working there, I gave him some it wasn't candy, it was like some sweets, because I was giving out my boyfriend had gave me some sweets. I think it was applesauce or something, like an applesauce pouch, I don't know. And I went into the store, I had some in my hand, and he was like, oh, you got some more? And I was like, yeah, sure. And so I went back and I got the rest, and I gave him them because I don't care. It wasn't the biggest thing in the world. And I don't know, it was just like, and then I feel weird even mentioning that, because like, I think there's a lot of lessons between the two of us that are meant to be learned, but I think one of them is learning when to not stop giving, but like stop. Because I don't mind giving if I have it. If I have excess, I don't mind. I'm not one of those people who are like, oh, I have excess, I need to hoard and save. No, if I have extra, there's no problem. You know what I mean? Now, if I have only enough for me, then that's another thing. But if I have extra, it's whatever. And I feel like generally that's just how I am in love. Like, if I have extra, here you go. And he was never, I don't think he was truly appreciative of it. And I think it sucks. There's a lot of people in the world like that who like can get handed everything, but they won't appreciate it. You know what I mean? And I think the day that we had the altercation, there were two girls there that he was like talking to, and they seemed to have personality. They at some point, one of the girl that was interacting with me had snapped at me as a reflection of like what he was doing, because that's how that guy treats me. He's very snappy with me sometimes, and he's very short with me. And I'd never seen this girl in my life. She had said hello, I said hello, I was being nice, and he snapped at me, and then she snapped at me like to join in, and I just kind of let it slide because like I've never seen you before, I don't know you, and I could tell that you're just going along with the moment. I could tell you're not being malicious, so I just kind of let it go. But then what had happened is that I was like, I didn't expect to talk about this. I had asked him, because sometimes the what they give is not like, it's the vape shop, and sometimes, and it's marijuana, by the way, and sometimes what they give I feel like is not appropriate. Like, I feel like it's not all the exact same measurement. And so sometimes when I notice that, I'll call it out and I'll be like, can I get a different bag? And most of the time, it's not an issue. Like, he gave me issue one time before, but usually it's not an issue. But he gave me an issue this time where he gave me a second one. I felt like that one was worse than the first one. And so I asked for another one, and he was like, no, they're all the same. And it was like, in my head, it was like, I come here all the time. I am nothing but nice to you. I'm nothing but kind to you. You know what I mean? And he was giving me such attitude. Like, he was even like rolling his eyes. And you know what I mean? Body language is sometimes out of control. I'm not one to be like, oh, fuck you for the way that you... But at the same time, I'm nothing but nice to you. Like, what is your problem? And he at one point told me, you're too nice. I feel like I have to be mean to you because you're too nice. And after he said that, I don't know, I really should have just been more wary of this person. Because I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're too nice. Maybe you're not nice enough. Maybe you're an asshole. The fuck? And I think it sucks because in another reality, I would have definitely been down for this person. I would have, you know what I mean? If things went differently, if he was into it, I would have definitely been interested in him sexually. But like, he was such an asshole. And this is where I go back to, like, I feel like a lot of people, like, how do I say this? Like, a lot of people like project, or they like, how do I say this? Like, because I'm not saying that he was attracted to me. I'm not saying for sure that, oh yeah, he was into me. But like, once again, he was uncomfortable by me for whatever reason. And I imagine one of those reasons is because maybe he was feeling something that he didn't want to feel towards me. And because I'm not that type of person, even when I was super sexual, I was never the type of person to like flirt outwardly, like openly. Like, I'm the type of person who, like, I would rather we just have a conversation and we like talk straight about what we want. You know what I mean? And there was this one person, I think, who's ever given me that, who was like super straightforward, and he might have been autistic. And I think I just need an autistic community. I think I need autistic people. Because, I don't know, normal people are so stupid sometimes. It's like, what do you mean you're feeling this feeling, and instead of just feeling the feeling, you're gonna like push it on to somebody else? What do you mean you're gonna like repress it? What do you mean you're gonna like pretend like it's not there because you don't want to experience? Like, what? And like, this is slightly unrelated, but also kind of not unrelated. But another part of it is that, like, it is jealousy. You know what I mean? Like, you see somebody who looks a certain way, who acts a certain way, who emits a certain energy, and instead of just recognizing that and being like, that's awesome, that's cool, you side-eye me and you like look at me like I'm crazy and like do all these like little petty things and try to, and this is like, what goes on in somebody's head to make them actually do things like that? Because I can't imagine, like, I understand the discomfort of having somebody who's like better than, I understand what jealousy is. Like, I remember there was this one guy, and we ended up fucking. Unrelated, I didn't need to say that, but we ended up doing that. Really tall guy, I fucked him, but not important. Anyways, and also, now that I'm thinking about this specific situation, I'm thinking about a lot of things that were said by him that were really, like, I think I've talked about it before, but oh my god, that was a weird moment. But oh, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. At some point I did feel a pinch of like jealousy towards him, and I didn't necessarily like process it as such. I didn't call it that. Really, it was like a headache, a huge headache that wouldn't go away because of his presence. But like, objectively, what was going on was that he was just shining really bright. He was just doing his thing. We were in a parking garage, and he was singing. I gotta tell you, he was like belting. And he was encouraging me to do so too, and we were like supposed to be, and that was the thing. But I was experiencing it as like discomfort. And me personally, I like, when that happened, I kind of was like, this is probably what other people feel when they feel like uncomfortable by me. You know what I mean? Because then there was this other dude that I didn't know, sexual relationship, nothing, but there was this other dude that had a similar energy, that had a similar aura, where it like affected me. But at no point did I ever think, oh, I need to stop this. I need to stop him from making me feel this way. I need to bring him down. Like, what the fuck? No, I'm gonna get the fuck away from him. If anything, I didn't. We ended up hanging out for a while, and then we fucked, and then like, and then the other guy, we weren't as close. It wasn't anything, but we had a nice conversation. And also, I'm just realizing I'm talking about sex, and like, it's Friday morning, And there's probably kids out. Oh my gosh, that's scary. I guess if I had to share the weird things that he said, by the way, because I feel like somebody's thinking, like, what kind of weird things did he say? Well, basically, he was telling me, and everything he was saying, I registered it as my own energy. I was like, what? What is going on? Not to say that he's not amazing, not to say that he's not great. I don't know. But, like, there was definitely this energy of, like, him kind of hyping himself up. And I was like, I just kind of let it happen. I was just like, okay, whatever. I'm not gonna, I don't care. Because technically I was, like, in the, not the driver's seat, but I was in control. I was like, I had the resources. I had the, you know what I mean? I was the plug in that moment. And he was saying that, like, when he has sex with people, like, he levels them up and it's like a spiritual experience. It's like magical and I'll never be the same and all this stuff. He was saying this and I was like registering it as like, this is me. This is what happens when people have sex with me. And maybe it's true for him, but I don't know. Like, he seemed really out of his mind. So it was really hard for me to, like, resonate with what he was saying, because what he was saying to some degree was, like, sacred. Like, he was, like, saying that, like, if you exchange energy with me, you're going to, like, experience magical symptoms and shit like that. And I was like, okay, but you're also out of your mind right now. So, like, what? Are you talking as me? Is this me? Am I talking to myself? And then we did do the thing. We did do the coitus. And once again, it wasn't that great. It was nice. I mean, he was a tall dude. He had a nice butt. I guess, but it was just, it was because he was so focused on, like, getting another hit. It took me away from the experience. Like, I couldn't fully enjoy that because it was like, what was going on? Because he kept saying he wanted to smoke again. He wanted to get high again. And I was like, okay. Well, I don't know. And also, now that I look back on it, I'm starting to think that maybe he was just trying to use me. I'm thinking because as far as I was aware, this dude was not gay. I don't think he was actively gay. I think he was using me. And this has happened before. This other dude, I think he was more flexible in his sexuality because he showed me pictures of him dressed up as a woman and doing drag, which is cool. But I don't think he was actively gay. I think he just understood how to use his sexuality, and I think he used it for me. I'm talking about somebody else. There was another guy that I fell in love with, this Asian dude, and we had a sexual relationship, and it was something, I guess. But when I look back, I'm like, I'm pretty sure he was just using me. Like, you know, because it didn't seem like he fully enjoyed the energy exchange. Like, he was very silent. It was very hard to read what was going on. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm not that type of person. I'm not like, oh, like, as long as no, like, I do that for both parties. Like, and if both parties aren't having a good time, it's like, what's the point? What's the purpose? You know what I mean? I'd rather just do it with myself. Like, the work. Like, quite honestly, like, I don't care. If you don't enjoy it, I'm not about to, like, and I think it's so strange that so many men think that way, or the opposite. Like, so many men have the idea of, like, well, as long as I'm getting off, I don't care how you feel. And I think that's so crazy. Like, and when I think about that, because it's not even just straight men, it's all sorts of men, honestly, who think that way. And it's scary. Because why are you doing that? And I guess it's a dominance thing. And then we go back to the trauma thing. And I think that's why a lot of people act that way. Because a lot of people experience traumatic situations in childhood and they never get the chance to process it. They never get the space to process it. And it becomes manifested anger. It becomes manifested destruction, manifested addiction, etc., etc. Because it's unchecked. Unchecked trauma will always fuck you over. You know? And quite honestly, you'll have no idea what's going on or how to fix it because you don't have the spatial awareness to recognize that that's why it's happening. Because there are things that you haven't examined yet, because there are things that you haven't processed, you know? And I think part of the issue is because a lot of people don't want to have to re-examine past relationships. Like, especially if the trauma comes from your parents, like, a lot of people don't want to have to be like, oh yeah, I love my parent, but, like, they did this bad thing that really fucked me up. You know what I mean? So a lot of people justify it, and then that's part of the reason why it gets repressed, because for a lot of us, the biggest trauma that happens is the one that happens from people close to us, from the people that we like trust and like care about and like respect. You know what I mean? And so when that happens, it's like, okay, now what? Because I trusted this person, they hurt me, and then you have to do these mental gymnastics of like, well, it wasn't that bad, or oh well, you know, like at least this didn't happen, or like it's like, no, it happened, and it really changed the way that you live your life now. Like it might have happened when you were a child, but now, because you haven't taken time to process it, now it affects you in your adult life. You know what I mean? Like, I think part of why I stopped being so promiscuous, I think, was because I did slow down to like examine why I felt such an urge to like do that, because I wasn't enjoying myself. I think that was also part of it. I wasn't fully enjoying myself, thankfully. So I didn't have a means to be like, oh, well, this is enjoyable, so there's no need to question it. I wasn't enjoying myself. So I was like, why am I seeking this thing out that I'm not enjoying? And it's because I was seeking some sort of outlet, some sort of release from like what I wasn't getting. You know what I mean? Which is just normal, general love. You know, not sexual love. But, you know, and I think it's very unfortunate, but there are a lot of people in the world who will never, or at least not in this lifetime, who will never get to the level of awareness that I have, and they won't be able to process it the way that I have. And I'm still processing. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me fucking wrong. I'm still moving through it. I'm still learning and everything, but you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I feel like I've rambled for a while, so I'm going to end this here. I'm going to say thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, whatever. I hope that this did something for you. If it did, you should definitely engage with the video. You should definitely like. You should definitely tell me how you feel. You know, why not? And I hope you have a nice rest of your day. I hope you know that miracles happen all the time. If you truly believe, if you truly align yourself with them, whatever you are going through is temporary, because everything is temporary. So try to keep your head up. Try to keep your spirits high. It's going to be okay. All right? I love you. Bye.